Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast session on Let's Talk Law.
I'm Elaine.
I'm Eugene, and today we have Candice from BR Law to share with us legal questions and answers related to property. Okay, so the next question, so if the developer call for payment, let's say foundation 10%, and the buyer funds is not ready, okay, and developer is not willing to give EOT, what is the penalty for delayed payment, and what are the possible consequences that the buyer will face?
Sometimes when there is a late payment, it's not an easy sort of situation. So the starting point is this. What does the contract say? And within all of these sale and purchase agreements that you have signed in the context of new launch, the legal position is basically always 6.75%. Any day of delay on a prorated annual per annum basis, 6.75% of whatever that you have not yet paid to the developer. One of the questions that follow up to that is that apart from this penalty, what are the other potential consequences? Apart from just charging you with interest, there is also something else that the developer can do if you persistently don't pay them for a very long time. It is at the option of the developer to exercise this discretion. Okay, it's what we call a 21-day notice. As the name suggests, how it works is that if you owe the developer X amount of money, so long as you have any owings, you can owe them $10, for example. That can be a legal basis for them to write to you and say, hey, look, I understand you owe me $10, for example. So I give you this 21-day notice to make payment of this $10. If you fail to do so by this end of this 21 days, okay, I will exercise my rights, okay, to rescind this sale and purchase agreement. In that situation, what happens is that they can forfeit the full 20% that you have already paid to date, okay, and they get to keep back the unit and they get to resell it to someone else. So that is something that's very onerous that can be done by the developer in addition to late interest.
To set up a trust to purchase Springleaf residence under the child, which is under 18 years old, they will be required to pay ABSD. When is the ABSD remission and any other charges to take note of?
I'm very happy to share that we have done a lot of these ABSD trust purchase and ABSD remission cases. I would, from my memory, easily around like 80 over cases to date since the rules change. The rules in relation to buying by way of trust was changed around 3 times within the last 2 years. So the current and most updated rules basically state that you have to pay all of this 65% ABSD together with the buyer's stamp duty first. Only after you have paid it and you have gotten the stamp certificate from IRAS, or only upon that being done can you apply for that remission. Generally, this entire process is done by your lawyers. The process of refund from when I get the stamp cert and when I write into IRAS and when they actually give you back your money, generally speaking, it's around 6 months. But I should just point out that IRAS has discretion to take a bit longer if they want. Okay, so there was some specific cases whereby it took as long as 7 to 8 months. Yeah, so just bear that in mind.
Minimum 6 months.
Yes, correct.
So the next question I have is, 99.1.
Yes.
Yeah, big thing in the news.
Correct.
So
correct,
is this
correct.
illegal? If no, then why is the authority coming after these buyers for evading taxes?
A few things I would say. The 99 one that is reported in the news, okay, is actually more appropriately called 100 cell one. Okay, so context there. And such an arrangement is definitely illegal. So 100 cell one is essentially a process whereby one party buys a property and they sell 1% within a very short period of time to another party to assist to taking a loan or whatever lah, okay, well, whatever reason that they come up with. So this is something that has been very, very frowned upon, okay, and has been fined repeatedly. That is what is on the news right now. And I just want to give it its proper name, if you would. The 99 one that we usually talk about nowadays means that if I and my spouse, or I and my brother, and so on and so forth, if we buy this property together at the same time, so both our names are on the option, but then in the manner of holding, I state that for example, I'm the older brother or I'm the husband, I hold 99%, and then my spouse or my younger brother hold 1%. Okay. As of now, there is nothing wrong with this arrangement. You are free to decide what is the manner of holding that you want for this property. Then I backtrack a bit, okay? The legal basis for IRAS to have gone around finding people, okay, derives from this provision called Section 33A, okay? It gives IRAS unfettered discretion on saying that this is tax evasion. So the general principle can be summed up as this. When you look at a transaction, when you do a transaction, the question that arises is this: are you saving tax on this transaction? If you are saving tax on this transaction that you are doing, okay, or this structuring, then in a way you are potentially open to Section 33A, okay, because it's very wide. The legal provision is written very widely, okay. So now we talk about the 99 one that is not expressly illegal that we are mentioning. So bearing in mind that there is this thing called Section 33A, so where do your tax savings come from? Naturally, if I, as 99% owner, buy over your 1% share, okay, in a way I am saving some money. Okay, so why I'm saving some money? Because the tax that you pay on buying over a 1% share is negligible. And you have to look at yourselves honestly and look at the transaction and ask yourselves this question: what was the actual contribution in relation to this transaction? Is it essentially a 50-50 split? Because there may be some instances whereby, for whatever reason, okay, because you're my brother, I want you to have a share in this property, and I pay 99% of this property, then I think you have a better argument lah. But if the reality of it is a lot of these transactions, for example, between husband and wife, and they structure it as 99-1 with a view to potentially decoupling cheaply, okay, because you're paying stamp duty only on the 1%, then freeing up one person's name to buy another property, then there is an argument to be made that IRAS, one fine day, if they so want, they can exercise their discretion under Section 33A, come back and audit this 99-1 transaction and say that, hey, look, you actually are evading tax. Instead of paying me $200, for my stamp duty, you should pay me $30,000. So this is the context, and this is the caution that we would generally put across to clients. Okay, you can still do so, okay, because it's not a given that you will decouple your property. You could sell off the property, then go and buy one each. Then this question doesn't arise anymore. But specifically, if you have that clear plan to buy as 99-1, and then you finance it pretty much equally, and you have that clear plan 3 years later or whatnot to decouple out the property and then buy something new, so that would be something that potentially does allow you to be caught by Section 33A. And why? Because Section 33A is so wide, So this is the caution. This is the very long-winded caution that we put across to clients when they ask us, can I hold it as 99-1? Okay, in my manner of holding when I buy it together with my husband, as husband and wife, or as brother and sister, and so on and so forth.
So you will never come to a situation whereby the 1% buy the 99%.
Oh, I've actually seen such cases.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, I've seen the reverse because in that particular instance, there was an inheritance that was received and they had to take over the inheritance. So they were sort of like looking at me and going, don't ask already, just proceed. Yes, you heard me correctly. The 1% buys the 99% party, you know. So it does happen in reverse lah.
Okay.
So, you know, but I always like to put it that to the clients that you are free to do whatever you want to do. My job is just to tell you that there is this thing called Section 33A. Yeah. And then,
So
that's
the decision is still up to them.
Yes,
Right.
correct. And ultimately the decision lies with the government life and IRA specifically.
Yes.
If one day, do they want to so-called do something, negative about this, because at the end of the day, there are a lot of reasonable grounds for why people want to structure the transaction in such a way. Yeah.
We have come to the end of today's session. If you would like to engage Candice for more legal advice on your property matters, please contact him at the number or scan the QR code to reach him.